What's up, comic book fans? Pete here from Comic Books Transformed, where me and my good friend Brian, hey, when I do it on my phone, it's accurate. Okay, this way. Brian, discuss comic books that have been adapted into movies and streaming shows. We are up to what, the 37th Marvel film, Brian?
Oh my God, I didn't even count this anyway. And also, from my perspective, I'm still on the other side. So you pointed the right way the first time, but
Oh, okay.
neither here nor there.
Where, Wherever he is, he's bringing quality commentary, and he will know the facts better than me. Except that
I
I knew it
think
was the
so.
37th movie.
There you go.
Yes. 37 of these movies, Brian. I think you and I started covering them, what, like with Black Widow, I think is the first one we did?
Yes. Yeah. So 2019, 2020, 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's probably been like 17 of the 37 that we've covered.
It's insane.
Isn't it? It is fucking crazy because we've been around doing this for like 5 years now. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. Brian and I offer very we don't offer like an intense reaction to things. It's very like grounded, and we point out negative things, positive things. You're not going to get like this is the greatest movie ever, except for when it is, or like this movie is woke trash. We're not going to say that kind of shit here.
No.
But Brian, you've been keeping your opinion about Fantastic Four first steps from me.
I have, yes, because you said there was going to be a debate, and then usually what that means is you didn't like it, and you think I liked it a lot. So,
Right.
but my gut feeling here is that we're going to be a lot more on the same page than normal this time.
Yes, yes. Okay, cool. All right. So then, with that being said, if you could give it a rating out of 10, what would you give this movie?
4? No. No.
Whoa! It's
No,
appropriate, but yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, that's a good one. I would give this maybe a 7, 7.5 tops.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We are on the same page. All right. Nice.
I really, really wish I could have went back. I had time to go back and watch Fan Stick for the first time and both the Tim Story movies before this, but I did not have the time to do any of that. So, I'm sure that I would still probably think that this one was better than those, but not with like leaps and bounds better as I was expecting.
Okay, cool. All right. We are on the same page. All right. I think we're having this weird kind of era, this weird moment right now where if a movie is just good, if there isn't any like real glaring flaws in it, then people say it's amazing, it's great. And I think that they're lowering their expectations for movies when it comes to these comic book movies. And I think, Brian, I'm going to open up the floor to you. I want to hear what you think about this. But I think it's kind of this sense of like tribalism where there's like different groups and they kind of have their own opinion where it's like, okay, the MCU is weak now and DC's making a comeback thanks to James Gunn. Or, oh no, James Gunn is in charge of the DCU. Why can't we have the Snyderverse? So that's a much smaller group, but it's still there. And then there's also like no, Marvel is they're going to bring it back. There's like those three main groups. There's other subgroups, I'm sure, but I feel like people just sort of get into these camps and they'll think about a movie just based on which camp they're in.
Yeah, I would say that I don't feel I fall into any of those camps. I just want to see whatever. I just want to see good movies and good stories, things like that, good adaptations. That's what I want out of all these things here. And I think it was. It was fairly faithful. It was very standalone, which is not something you get out of the MCU lately. I do think that maybe Superman kind of ruined it for me a little bit.
Yep.
I felt like so high after seeing that movie, and there was nothing wrong with this movie whatsoever.
No.
But I barely had any kind of that level of reaction as I did with Superman with this movie.
Oh, I love it when we're on the same page, man. So let me ask you this. I think you said there's nothing wrong with it, but I do think that why you and I aren't gushing about this movie is because of the characters. I think like there's two characters in this movie that kind of have an arc, that have like character development, but otherwise I don't really know what happens to the other characters. I don't really know what is driving them besides just the plot, which the plot is Galactus is coming, we want to save the Earth. What do we do to stop that? Like that's the plot, and that's the drive for the majority of the characters. But I think for two characters, I'm just going to go ahead and say them. You tell me if you agree. Silver Surfer and Johnny Storm, they kind of have arcs, and they're interesting. But I feel like what the fuck is Reed Richards' character arc? Like what's interesting about Reed Richards in this movie besides the fact that he has to stop Galactus from eating the Earth? What's interesting about the Thing? You know, go ahead.
I do disagree with that with Reed actually. So
okay.
I will say that I think the character left out in the cold the most here is the Thing.
Okay.
He really had almost nothing to do in the entire movie. He had little side scenes with Natasha Lyonne's character. Was it Roz something? I forget her name.
Yeah.
Which my understanding is that's supposed to be like an homage to Jack Kirby's wife, who helped a lot on inking and the earlier Fantastic Four issues. So that's a cool little nod, I guess. But there wasn't much for him at all there. For Reed, it's a similar choice as we've seen in other things, even Superman recently. I think his arc is that I mean, you could argue it's the same arc as like as Pedro Pascal's other characters have had in The Last of Us and The Mandalorian, where he has to choose between saving one or saving the many. You know.
Okay.
This here, it's like he either gives up Franklin and spares the Earth, or he tries to save Franklin and potentially dooms the Earth. Much like in The Last of Us, his choice with Ellie is to either save Ellie or let Ellie die and potentially have a cure for the cordyceps virus or whatever. And then, you know, to a lesser extent with Grogu and the Mandalorian, where he had the opportunity to give up, Grogu at some point and just make all this stuff go away, and he chose to save him rather than take that easy route. So it's really kind of funny that this actor has had this exact same character arc with the three most prominent, well-known things he's done in his career outside of Game of Thrones.
Dude, holy shit! I didn't even fucking think of that. That's fucking crazy. It's the same fucking thing. It's always it's a kid, and he's the dad. You know?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So
I mean,
so strange.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's so strange. And so I do think there's an arc there. I think Sue is essentially part of that same arc, that same idea there, although she's more on the side. Well, no, she's not. They're both sort of on the same side of they're going to choose Franklin over saving the world. But I think Reed has that kind of pragmatic side to him where he at least considered the possibility of giving it up, where Sue does not. That's never an option to Sue. I do like the arc with Johnny and Silver Surfer. I can understand. I now understand why they chose to use Shia LaBeouf rather than Norman Rad. Right. Then at that point, they wouldn't have anything for Johnny to do either.
Right. And I mean, like, that's the part that I liked. We could just jump into spoilers at this point. Like, that's probably the part I remember the most from this movie is the fact that, like, Johnny Storm had access to these recordings from outer space, and he used this one message as a, like, what are those? Something stone? What the fuck are they called?
Like
Rosetta Stone? Yeah. And he, like, figured out what the message was, and he figured out, like, what these other people were saying. He figured out where Shia LaBeouf was from. Like, I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't think about that at all. That's cool that, like, Johnny had this urgency to do that. And then, like, you know, there is this sort of typical Silver Surfer story, which we see in Tim Story's second Fantastic Four movie, where, like, the Silver Surfer is convinced to basically side with humanity against Galactus. And that happens in this movie. There's some good acting with the two of them in general. I think that's the acting in the movie that really stands out. But honestly, man, like I kind of was having trouble staying awake. I'm not saying the movie's boring. I just have been like really like sleep deprived. and like if it was a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 or like something else that we've raved about, it wouldn't matter how much sleep I had. I'd be like, yeah, I'm on board. But it was just like very by the numbers. Everything that you would expect happened, and there just wasn't any kind of like glaring, annoying aspects to it.
Yeah. Two things. One, I just noticed there's a wire in front of your camera. There you go. And I forgot the other thing now that I mentioned that.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I'm so focused on getting that fixed that I forgot what I was saying. You said there's nothing glaringly wrong with it. What the hell was I gonna say? I forgot it. God damn it. Never mind.
Well, okay. Well, we can talk about like what's good about it, what is memorable about it. Even though I think that Johnny Storm part is the most memorable part.
I remember now. I'm sorry. You said you were very tired and almost falling asleep. I think I did doze a little bit. So there's a point where after they launched to space to go talk to Galactus, and then the next thing I remember is they were talking to Galactus. So I did miss a little bit somewhere.
Yes.
And that doesn't happen to me often because I make a point to go see movies in the morning because it's cheaper. Yeah. And yet still somehow I think I might have missed like maybe 5 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah, because there's nothing wrong about it. There's nothing jarring. There's nothing excellent. It's just like very middle of the road kind of movie. And they clearly are doing their work, right? Because we've seen essentially there's 3 different iterations of the Fantastic Four. You said you didn't see the Josh Trank Fantastic Four, but you've seen the Tim Story ones. So there's those 2 versions. Then there's the 90s version where they're trying to keep the legal rights to the Fantastic Four with 20th Century Fox. I have not seen that.
Isn't it the same thing that happened with Josh Trank? They were just trying to throw something together to keep the rights.
Yeah, exactly. You haven't seen that 90s version, have you?
I have not seen. I mean, I've seen clips of it, but I've never seen the entire thing. It wasn't officially released ever, was it? I mean, I think you can get it on YouTube or something, right? But
yeah, it wasn't officially released. I think they actually like purposely kept it from being released. But what I was gonna say is that like when you watch it, like the characters they interact and they do seem like a family. Oh, there actually is one other scene that I really liked too. There's the part where Reed is really concerned about getting a visual of the baby, of Franklin, and he's working on a machine that should be able to scan Sue so you get the best reading. He's not able to do it, and so Sue just becomes invisible and shows the baby inside of her. I actually really like that scene a lot.
That was a cool little visual effect there. Yes, that was a good idea. My 2 favorite scenes in the movie were one was from the trailer. Is just I absolutely love the declaration of Silver Surfer has that I herald his beginning, I herald your end, I herald Galactus. That is fantastic.
Right.
I was looking forward to seeing and hearing that, and that was great. And there was a point after Reed and Sue had that disagreement about how to handle the situation, and she calls him out for even considering giving up Franklin. And he's like, my job is to think of the worst possible things and try to prevent them. And I have never related to a character more in my entire life, because that is what I just try to think of the. I don't try to. My brain just thinks of the worst things possible, so I can be prepared to deal with them if they would arise. I know that this is a fictional character and this is a different scale than my middle-aged dad life, but that line hit me like a ton of bricks.
No, I get it. I get it, man. It sounds pretty fucking stressful. I get it. That part is good. There's good interactions. There's no sort of like scenes where you could just like cut it and be like, that scene doesn't matter. It's just there's nothing like super exciting or enticing. I remember like I watched Movie Bob's review, and it was before I saw the movie, and he said that there's this one sequence in the middle that's this sequence that they're going to be talking about for a long time. And it's this really exciting sequence. And I kept looking for that sequence. I think he's talking about when they're escaping from Galactus's ship. And I was like, is that really exciting? I mean, did you think that part was really exciting?
I mean, in a way, not that exciting. I wouldn't think of that as a scene people would be talking about for years to come or anything like that. It was interesting because it's a birth scene. During an intergalactic escape scene. It was an interesting thing to see mixed together. I like that they all kind of kept their cool with it and they all worked together very well. But in a way, that's almost like a flaw that because they work so well together that there's no like fear or stakes or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they're getting out. I mean, I know this that you always know they're getting out of whatever because it's a superhero movie and the good guys have to generally. But I don't know. They're I don't want to say they needed dysfunction because I don't think that's the way the Fantastic Four should work. I think they are their best when they're in the comics when they're just tackling like weird science things and working well together and not fighting or anything like that, but with each other.
Right.
So maybe this doesn't translate into an amazing movie. That's really just what it is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's not amazing. That's right. Like, I watched a review today by a guy. His channel, I think it's called Cosmonaut Quickie. His name is Marcus, and he's really funny. He's great. I think I've shared videos with you, but he was saying that he felt like tonally, it was the most consistent Marvel movie that he's seen since maybe The Winter Soldier, where everything kind of had the same kind of tone. Versus Marvel, where you'll have some movies where like it's very serious, there's high stakes, but then there's also this like goofy, silly humor, which is pretty common in Marvel movies. This didn't really have that goofy, silly humor, but like everyone kind of feels like the edges are shaved down. Like you want to see Ben and Johnny kind of playing tricks on each other, or like Johnny basically playing tricks on Ben and Ben flipping out. You want Ben to kind of lose his temper and get mad and like get frustrated at the situation. You want to see Reed being like weirdly scientific to where he's like working on something and people are kind of they're like, why was he thinking about this? Like there's this one line in Superman where Mr. Terrific says something like, I put nanite trackers in his blood. I do that to everyone I know, right? Like Reed should say stuff like that where it's kind of he's oddly scientific and detached, and I think he does that a little bit, but not enough for like Reed Richards.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yes, they're very toned down in that sense. I would say a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people comment that he doesn't stretch enough either.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen so many comic panels of him like wrapped around things a billion times, even Galactus himself. And
right,
like, he's barely Stretch Armstrong here,
Right, and like in the previous movies, like the Tim Story movies, there's a lot of him using his powers because he's like fighting or something, or there's some kind of action sequence. But in the comics, there's a lot of sequences of like Reed just like working in the lab, and that's why he's stretching so much, or he's like pondering something and he's all in a weird shape and stuff. Like you need more stuff like that.
I agree, yeah.
But like the movie starts off strong. Like they have this montage where they give you a history of the Fantastic Four, and you get all these fucking Fantastic Four villains. Like one of the things that just blew my fucking mind is that they had that creature from the cover of the first issue of the Fantastic Four.
Yes, yeah. And they named up quite a number of classic Fantastic Four villains. Mole Man and Red Ghost and
Diablo.
Wizard, Diablo, yeah, and supposedly John Malkovich was supposed to be Red Ghost, and we're never going to see that at any point. So
yeah,
I don't know lost or anything. I'm not really sure, but
yeah, I feel like you needed to have some kind of okay. There's one other thing I really need to address, and we can kind of go back to these points too. But like to take on Galactus. it's like you don't fucking punch and hit Galactus like it's a battle. You have to like treat it like it's like a force of nature, which they kind of do. But in the very first appearance of Galactus, the way they get him to stop eating Earth is they use the ultimate nullifier. They basically threaten him with the ultimate nullifier, and he goes away. You need like something like that to defeat Galactus. In this, they basically they just like punch him and hit him and knock him into a hole. You know, like that's how they defeat Galactus.
See, the thing is, I really liked. I was thinking before you said that right there. I was thinking the opposite. That I was kind of glad they didn't use the ultimate nullifier because it's. I don't think people would accept it as a exciting resolution. I enjoyed that they were, they didn't have, like the Fantastic Four never has secret identities. They're always just out and they're public. Everyone knows their names, and they're essentially celebrities. And they've saved the world before.
Right.
And then they use their notoriety to get the whole world to band together with this crazy plan. And I really like that crazy plan is that they're going to move the Earth out of Galactus's view.
Right, that's a good point. Yeah,
and I really like that a lot. And it just speaks to their standing in that universe, and I really appreciated that, rather than just threatening them with the ultimate nullifier, which also would have been fun if they did, because it is like the classic way of doing it. But I don't think audiences would have been as receptive to not have some kind of confrontation.
Yeah,
really, they don't really fight anything throughout the entire movie, like at all.
Right. Well, in the montage, they show like Reed kind of stretch around this one little tower and like kick a fucking gorilla into the ocean, and during that chase sequence, that they are kind of grappling with the Silver Surfer, but not really. The one part I actually really liked was when they go to fucking teleport the Earth to another area, and then the Silver Surfer just flies in and just obliterates all their towers. I actually thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I actually wasn't expecting that. Like I was genuinely surprised by that, and I thought that was good. But yeah, I don't think that the ultimate nullifier would have been a satisfying thing for the average moviegoer that just would go see a Marvel movie for fun,
No, I know you're right. I don't know. Like,
it's a really hard property to adapt. It really is.
Yeah.
And the thing I keep coming back to is that, every other adaptation has always heavily featured Doom, and this one does not. And I wonder if that has something to do with it. And I also keep thinking too that, like, the other day you asked me about who are my favorite X-Men characters that have been created since the 2000s. And it got me thinking about other characters outside of X-Men, and I kept thinking about, like, wow, I really like the Maker, which is like an evil Reed Richards, for anyone not in the know there. And I think that would be kind of a great route to go. And I don't know, maybe that's what they're doing with RDJ Doom. I don't know, but it seemed to me that Doom just does not exist in this reality here. I know he's shows up in the mid-credit scene or end-credit scene, whatever it is. But to me, it seems like he doesn't exist, because they would have had to have mentioned him at some point in those montages or something.
I agree. He shows up in the mid-credit sequence when Franklin's like 4 years older. But in the beginning, they go to have a meeting about Galactus, or it might not even be about Galactus yet, but they're having a meeting with the United Nations, and it pans past. It goes from the United States to Latveria,
that's true. That's very true.
Yeah. So there's no like representative from Latveria there. Yeah.
So maybe he does exist, and that it's just he's sort of a footnote or not mentioned. But I kind of wondered if that was what was lacking was Doom. But then again, you're kind of like, blowing your whole load with their two best villains, literally.
Yes.
In one movie.
Right onto his scarred face. Yeah. And then he puts his mask over it. He's like, oh,
that's how
Doom appreciates. Yes. Oh, that's the best comment so far today. But like, I get it. I get it. You don't have Doom, right? Because they just keep using Doom in every single version of these fucking movies, right? But like, if you have Reed from this movie going up against Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom, and they make it like they've known each other, are you still gonna fucking care? Like, I don't think that Reed is like interesting enough or compassionate. Like, I think if okay, I'm all over the place, but like with the Fantastic Four, I think the way that this movie works for me, the ones that are the most interesting, exciting, it's like Johnny Storm is the most interesting one in this movie because of what happens. Sue is the second most interesting one. Ben is the third, but there's not much going on with Ben.
I disagree with that. I think Ben was the least interesting, unfortunately. And I love the Thing. It was one of my favorite characters growing up. Yeah, I think he has had nothing to do in this movie whatsoever.
Yeah, well, okay. So before you mentioned that, like John Malkovich was supposed to be in the movie and they cut him out. Like they cut out 20 minutes of this movie. I feel like the whole thing with Natasha Lyonne, like there had to be something more to that. It feels so like she's a big enough star to where there had to have been more with her and him in it.
Yeah, I agree that there feels like there's something missing there. Runtime wise, and I feel like they kind of do this. They took this angle. They always take this angle, but there wasn't enough of he's like Ben views himself as a monster, sort of thing.
Yeah,
like, that's always a big thing. That he feels different because his three friends, all have they still retain their humanity in a way. He's not begrudgingly angry that he's a giant rock, and nobody like taunts him for it. Really, like those kids are like cheering for him to lift a car and not like making fun of him or something like that. Like that's I kind of expect things like that for him to not be accepted.
Yeah,
and dealing with that, that's usually the usual story they go with early on for him, and they just didn't do that. Yeah, he's sort of like awkward around that Roz character. And it was also weird because it's like she has red hair, and it's like that makes me think of Alicia Masters, and it's not Alicia Masters.
Right.
And they did mention Puppet Master in that opening montage too. So,
right.
I don't know. I feel like they probably cut whatever he was supposed to do in those 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, the closest we get to Ben like being upset about his situation is that like he's looking at a video of him as a pilot it's on a TV in a store window, and then the TV goes off or cuts to a dark commercial, and then you see his reflection, and he kind of makes his face of like, oh yeah, like this is what I look like, this fucking rock, right? And I feel like that's why there was more to the Natasha Lyonne thing. Like it was going to deal with exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, there's not much to that. Otherwise, he's just there to kind of help out. He pilots the fucking spaceship. He does something really cool where he makes a building collapse at the end to make Galactus fall backwards. I like that.
Literally, yeah, okay. The movie. That was like the one small contribution he had to the movie, I think.
Right. I agree. I agree totally. So I'll move him down to 4, but then Reed is number 3. And like seeing Reed with the Robert Downey Jr. Doom, even if they're like, oh, we've known each other for so long, it's like I'm not going to care because I need to.
You're more excited to see how Robert Downey Jr. is going to interact with the characters that think he's Tony Stark.
Right. Exactly. Right. But it should be like Reed and fucking Doom,
Yeah.
And like just to kind of go along with the whole Reed thread some more. Then we got to talk about Galactus after this. But with the whole Reed thread, I had read that John Malkovich was actually like fucking Leonardo da Vinci or something like that at first. That's what I had read, and then I read that there was something where maybe there was possibility of the Council of Reeds, which are a whole bunch of Reeds from different worlds in the multiverse, and they kind of meet together. And like if they had some kind of part like that in the movie where Reed is either talking to like a villain or a character from history to get advice on what to do about Galactus, or he's consulting the Council of Reeds, or like maybe he's even considering doing something like bad or dangerous to get rid of Galactus, that makes it so much more compelling and interesting. But there's nothing like that in this version. You know, it's just vanilla.
Yeah, yeah.
He's vanilla Reed.
Yeah, everything just kind of goes according to what they're expecting. I mean, yes, the Silver Surfer blows up their plan and all that, but like just the fact that they were able to, and I enjoyed this that they were able to. I appreciated that they were so beloved that they were able to get the entire world to go in on this plan, but at the same time, it's sort of boring, I guess.
Right.
It's sort of vanilla. Like you need you need tension and conflict and things to overcome. And yes, we're overcoming a giant planet-eating monster, but it just didn't have enough flair, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, like think about it. Like he's this big stretchy thing. If you had a big stretchy vanilla taffy, man, that would be fucking gross to get through. I would not want to consume that, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about Galactus, and we can kind of connect this because like everyone kept saying like Galactus is like a force of nature, and like that's the way we should treat Galactus. And to me, it's like they evacuate New York City. They send all the humans down to like where the mole people are, and then you have this big empty city and these 4 people in them taking him on, which is cool because everything looks like it doesn't look like CGI, like they're in front of blue screen. It does look like they're in an empty city. But there's something that's not exciting about that. Because, like, if it's like a disaster movie, one of the things about disaster movies is you see the people fleeing in danger as, like, buildings are collapsing and things are exploding. Like, you see the terror and stuff on people's faces. And it's completely devoid of that because you're just in an empty city with the Fantastic Four and Galactus.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, tell me what you thought about Galactus in general, man.
I was very excited to hear that Ralph Ineson was the voice of Galactus. I think that's the perfect kind of voice to do that. That being said, slightly underwhelmed. I was expecting, I don't know, it. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe it was a little more, I don't want to say passionate, but a little more threatening, I guess. He's fairly matter of fact, which I guess sort of is the case. Like he's just kind of going through the motions of easing his pain, really. And he's done this a billion times, and there's nothing for him to get mad about, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could see him getting mad. He potentially could be mad at the idea that he finally sees a way out of ending this cycle by, I guess, giving his hunger away to Franklin. Like that's the vibe I got somehow. I don't know how that was going to happen, but he just, I don't know. I expected. I'm still happy that it was a giant purple and blue dude and not a swarm, and that he spoke and all that. But again, maybe just too vanilla.
Yeah. Did you ever read the Mark Millar comic? Well, I think it was 1985, right? Do you know what I'm talking about?
1985. I don't know. Maybe
it's basically there's a kid and he's really into Marvel comics, and then like Marvel villains just start coming and showing up in his small town. Like, you remember that at all or no?
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Okay, well I remember like fucking Galactus shows up. I think it's like one of the last pages of one of the issues, and it's just like you just see Galactus in this small town, and it's just scary. There's no dialogue. It's just Galactus like in the town, and it's this really scary shot or panel because it's just like, oh shit, Galactus is there. This is it, right? I think that if you have Galactus to where he is like working on his ship and preparing for the Earth to be destroyed, and you're just getting these like shots of him where you can see the scale of him, that is like much more effective than like he's going to get a little baby, right?
What they needed? They needed to copy the Transformers movie and open the damn movie with Galactus eating a planet.
Yes, 1000%. I totally agree. You have to show the terror of him destroying a planet. They even do that in the fucking Tim Story movie. They don't show like aliens and stuff reacting, but they do show him or the Cloud destroying planets.
Yes. Yeah.
In this movie, they have that sequence where Reed is like looking up the energy signature of the Silver Surfer, and he does see that these planets are gone, but that's it, you know?
No, you needed to see the destruction that Galactus can cause, maybe, and then maybe that's what it was missing.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know, man. I mean, I did like when they fought him, but ultimately it's exactly kind of what I thought was going to happen. And I like that, like Johnny was like saying, like, you know, tell Franklin Uncle Johnny loves him or something, and it looks like he's going to sacrifice himself. I like that, but I knew like the Silver Surfer was going to show up and like take on Galactus herself.
Yeah, I also would have liked to have seen what happened to them through that
yeah.
portal. Some little tag that's saying that they still exist. And I know that we're not long for this universe with Doomsday coming here. My understanding is that I forget the director's name, Matt Shackman. Is that it?
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
My understanding is that he was completely unaware of the Thunderbolts end credit scene.
Oh, okay, so,
There's no connection there, and I guess they'll pick that up in Doomsday. So yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I think they did some things right, but they could have made it a little more exciting potentially.
Yeah. Well, we didn't really talk about Franklin at all, too.
Sure. Yeah.
Like Franklin is like so powerful. Galactus wants to essentially like I guess trade places with him or like pass on his hunger to him, and like Franklin will be able to hold on to his hunger. I gotta admit, like
the baby is gonna eat planets.
Yeah, it's so silly, you know. and Galactus and Franklin have that connection in the comics, but he's like, usually it's like when it's Franklin in the future and he's an adult and he's connected to Galactus. But I gotta say, like, it was effective. Like the actors were selling it when Sue died, but then to like kind of see them just kind of put the baby on her body and like it was a real baby, but it just was like awkwardly CGI'd onto her. Like that kind of took me out of it when they're like, let's just put the baby on top of the dead mom. I was like, I knew he was gonna fucking bring her back to life, but I don't know. Yeah. It didn't work for me.
Yeah, I mean, it had me for maybe a second that they were like, oh my god, will they actually do this?
Yeah.
And then I thought about the the chairs.
Right.
Where it says closes Vanessa Kirby, and granted, it could be a different galaxy, different universe, or whatever. It could be a red herring just to throw you off. But the second they showed Franklin, then I'm like, oh, okay, Franklin's going to bring red flag. That's what's going to happen.
Right. Well, okay. Let me ask you this. We didn't talk about doing our rankings, but like, if you could rank this somewhere, there's 37 movies. Where would you kind of put it? What end of the spectrum would it be on?
I didn't think about this all that hard, but I did come up with the thought in my head that I think I enjoyed Thunderbolts more than this movie.
Yes, I enjoyed Thunderbolts more, and I think Thunderbolts is really flawed. And going back to that whole thing, we were talking about the different camps and people that are very loyal to certain brands. Like, there are people that are like, Thunderbolts is amazing. Thunderbolts is like Marvel back on top. And I thought Thunderbolts is pretty flawed, and it was kind of mediocre, but I still enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it more than this.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the best I can give you for a ranking now, is I feel like I enjoyed Thunderbolts more than this movie.
Okay.
And I came out of Superman. Like, I remember thinking, not that we need to compare these two things, but like I came out of the movie like, I will own this movie. Like, I will buy this DVD or Blu-ray, whatever. I didn't feel that coming out of this movie.
Right. Ditto. Yeah, I've since wanted to go back and watch Superman, and I have not wanted to go back and watch Fantastic Four. I think maybe just for our own fun, for you and me, maybe we should do our rankings like, in our chat and just share them, because I actually would like to see where your current Marvel rankings are right now.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So then, I guess, what do we have as far as Marvel movies between this and Doomsday?
The next Marvel movie will be Brand New Day.
Okay. Yeah. And there's talk about like the fucking Hulk being in that, the Punisher being in that, right?
I've heard that, but I've also heard that this is not going to be a multiverse movie. So I'm very confused.
Right, but like it would be Hulk like regular MCU Hulk and Punisher, who we've seen is in Daredevil and stuff, right?
Yeah, but like I feel like that screams, even though they're all essentially based in New York City, whatever. That screams like Battle World to me, you know. And I've heard that, and I've also heard that this is going to be a movie that happens before Doomsday, before anything happens there. So and I hope that's the case because we have not really gotten a good, just standalone, street level Spider-Man-y. Maybe we have. I don't know.
No, we have not gotten street level Spider-Man. There's never been a Spider-Man versus like crime ever movie.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want that at a brand new day. I guess I want to see the continuation of Peter living without Aunt May and everyone not knowing who he is. I want to see that, and I don't want to be contaminated with as a multiverse level movie.
Fuck yeah, I feel that way too. But I think like even that movie's like a year away, right?
Yeah, I feel like they bumped back Doomsday and that. Yeah, I feel like that's like a full year away.
Holy shit. Okay. Wow. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about Fantastic Four First Steps?
No, I think that's about it.
I'll say one last thing. I actually like when they go in space and they open up Herbie's face and it's like a cassette and they like replace his cassette face with another cassette face.
Oh, that's something I missed because I don't remember that.
Oh shit. Okay, that's when you fell asleep. Okay. It was just this nice little touch. Like his face, like, looked like a cassette to begin with. And they're like, oh, we got to go into space. So we're going to take out this cassette and put the space cassette into his face.
Space Herbie, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I like that part. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Guys, if you liked our Fantastic Four review, please come back for more. Brian and I got to figure out what we're going to be covering next. But we've been covering things like, what the fuck did we just cover?
Yeah, it's been a while. We finished Ironheart was our last thing we finished, and
Ironheart
was Andor. I know. We will definitely be covering Peacemaker season 2 and Gen V season 2. It's just a matter of we had kind of thrown about finishing off Sandman season 2 and Revival on Sci-Fi, but I have yet to watch anything Sandman, and I only watched the first three of Revival. So I mean, I'm indifferent to, but if you want to do those things, I'll do it. But I mean, like, I'm also cool with this wait until something we're excited about, like Peacemaker.
Okay, that might be the way to go. Yeah. Cool. Well, if you guys like middle-aged men that aren't sure what they're going to do next, make sure you subscribe. You'll get a video at some point, but we are grateful for your views, and we will catch you guys next time. All right, let me end this recording.